Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the chat. The camera's at an odd angle because over here is a little messy, but don't mind. Now, I know why you clicked on this thumbnail for this video. You want me to talk about Flex Agent 360. So, we're going to talk about it. Now, this is not something that I have recently done. This is something that's been kind of in the works. So, let's kind of take it from the top. Excuse me. I know y'all see my little brassiere. I am sorry about that. Okay, so February 16th, I was in a work from home group, and I'm like, I'm just looking for something very part time, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, do some debt reduction because I am on that debt reduction journey in 2024. And I'm like, you know what, Becky, you've got some money from other sources. Let's go ahead and add something, but also give you a way to expand your skills. So I saw a post in one of the work from home groups, a 1099 group, and I was like, okay, well, this sounds a little interesting. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna check it out. So I went to the website, and the website is down below. We're gonna talk a little bit about everything. I applied, which was 2 days after Valentine's Day on 2/16. And they tell you that the background check usually takes 5 days. Mine took 14 because I've lived in multiple counties, multiple states, and I've been both married and divorced. So, but I know people who got it back the same day. I know somebody who got it back. A lot of people got it back within 48 hours, not including the weekends. Flex Agent does go back 7 years, and they use a company called Yardstick for their background check. So the background took a while. Now, as you initiate the background, you do have access to the training modules, and they tell you to just go ahead and do it. Now, they say it'll take 1 to 2 weeks. It does not. The initial training module, and it's changed a little, and we'll talk about that. The initial training module came in tech support and then billing. So you are being initially hired for basic tier 1, very basic tech support. There are questions like, I'm not getting text, voicemail don't work, a phone feature don't work. And it's just, we're going to get into the systems. It's very easy, point and click. And then after 300 verified calls and doing business, you take the billing calls, and that pays more, and we're going to get to pay. Now, under the new thing, it's kind of combined. So the tech support section of the modules is just under 10 hours total. I completed it in a day. I started at 8 o'clock in the morning, took some breaks, took a lunch, ran around, but I finished it. And so I finished it in one day, and I'm like, okay, this ain't bad. And I waited, and there's a lot of frequently asked questions to look at. There's extra modules to do. There's Flexperts, which is their subject matter experts to talk to. You can ask any sort of question of them. They have a website, a desktop app, and a phone app, and you will have all three. Now, this is the way they work. You will be taking tech support calls for a telecommunications company, and you will be getting those calls through the computer to your phone. So this ain't the soft phone where, like, I've got the headset on now and I'm talking to you through the computer. You are actually going to be getting calls on your phone. And hang on. You will have to buy a headset. This is one of the ones I got, and it just plugs in. So it's got to have the ears, and it's got to have a microphone. Now, they don't say it's got to be wired. I know a lot of people using wireless headsets or Bluetooth headsets. As long as you keep it charged, you're fine. And speaking of keeping things charged, you will want to get a portable phone charger if you're going to be working full-time. I'm only knocking out a few here, a few there, a few hours here and there. Like I said, I'm very part-time, so my experience may be different than a full-time person's. So I initially went and I was like, okay, so my background check cleared on 14 days later on the last day of February of 2/29. And I'm like, oh, thank God. So I started downloading the VMware. And I run Windows 10 Pro. It's not in safe mode because we're going to come to that. So, and the background check was a nightmare. They actually ran it twice, and it wasn't FlexAgent's fault. It was Yardsticks because they didn't go back far enough the first time, and then there was another state, and then 50 spellings of my first name. So that was very aggravating. But on March 1st, I'm downloading VMware, and it was the old version. And I was like, oh, this isn't working on my computer. And I got very frustrated. I wanted to just chuck that computer, so I uninstalled it. And I was like, I need a break. So I take a break for, oh, maybe a week. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to look at this again. I go to the VMware communities. I Google search VMware, Windows 10 compatibility problems. There was an issue with a program that was on my computer from my previous work thing. And I'm like, oh, look what I did. So I uninstalled a bunch of stuff, did a defrag, disk cleanup, rebooted a bunch of stuff, and I was like, okay. So I get in there, reinstall everything, and rejoined the groups, and I'm like, I think this is going to work. So my creds started coming in before the background check was back. And I finally got all of my credentials in, and that was the beginning of March. So they're due the credentials in batches. And a lot of people who initially started early January, remember I started February 16th. We had people starting end of December, early January. They started getting their creds and working and everything else like that. So they did all that. I finally got all my creds. And I'm like, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about pay, because everybody asked me about the pay. Y'all have seen the shorts. If you have any questions about pay, join the unofficial Facebook group, link down below. So on a tech support call, your base pay is going to be around $5 a call. And the calls usually last 4 to 6 minutes. They're not back to back, and I'll tell you how you accept calls. So we went in, and it is $5. There are a couple of metrics you need to make. Now, average handle time is not one of them. After call work is not one of them, because you are 1099. You can take your time with these calls. You are paid by the call. So, of course, the faster you do your call, the more complete you do your call, the better the money. So the things that you need to do is validate the call, which is authorize the person and get that passcode validated. And the other thing is to notate the call, do the correct privacy concerns, blah, 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 all that other good stuff. And there'll be verbiage on the screen. You just read it. So if you do that and do good call notes and you end the call and resolve the issue, that's great. Your metrics are affected by how many times within a 72-hour period does the person call back. So you want that first call resolution to be taken care of immediately. The second thing is transfer rate. We all know, if you've done call center, we've all run into that person in the training group that transfer, and of course you're being paid by the call, so they're thinking, oh, I'll just transfer all the calls. Well, you can't. It does require a temporary one-time PIN for each transfer that you do. So we're going to get into the calls that I did, and I'll describe them without giving away any privacy information. And one of them was a transfer call. So, yeah, that's how you get paid on a tech. Now, once you do your 300 verified calls and you do your billing modules, which you can do billing modules anytime, you then start making $6 to $7 a call. And you will have access, instead of having to transfer to billing, you'll just click a little tab and open up the billing stuff that you need to do. And then eventually we're going to probably do sales calls, is what I'm hearing. But I don't know the pay on that. We're just going to kind of take it day by day. And so that's kind of that. Now, you do get paid extra. So let's talk about the extra pay. The first extra pay you're going to get is $250 for your first 20 verified calls. As soon as that 20th verified call is processed, and they are processed every 24 hours at 1 a.m. Central Standard Time is when your results page updates. You will see $250 on that next check. And you get paid every Friday through direct deposit. And Gig Wage is the company that they partner with to handle the processing of those payments. It just goes directly to your bank account. Okay, and then they run bonuses and contests, which you can see on your results page and see how you're doing with all that. And some of the contests are like the most verified calls on this date, $100 for X amount of verified calls between this date and this date. So, yeah. So it's not bad. Now, my goal, the day I'm making this video, which is the day before you're going to see it, so I made this video on a Tuesday on the 12th. You will see this video on the 13th. I don't have my results updated yet. I hopped on, got all my credentials, hopped on about 2:20 p.m., and I just told myself I'm going to just take 2 calls. The reason for the 2 calls is, one, to make sure all my systems booted up and there were no tech issues. The second reason is to navigate the system. I didn't want to feel the pressure of trying to do all the verified calls, but I didn't want to sit there and stay on the phone because I kind of had things to do today. You know, I did. This ain't a work day. I'm only going to be working 1 or 2 days a week, and there'll just be a few hours each day. So, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Don't you love the cat on the bed? So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. So I did my 2 calls, and let's talk about the calls. So, call number 1 comes in, and it actually, when he called, he's like, now remember, I am business tech support. That's my department. So he calls in, he's like, I do my spiel, thank you, blah, 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 blah. My name is Becky. How can I help you? He is upset. He is on the phone with an authorized rep, and they're upset. Now I'm like, okay, we need to de-escalate and use empathy statements. It was a billing transfer. So I'm like, oh my God, my first call is a transfer. And of course, you got to get that one-time PIN through chat to even do the transfer. I'm like, okay. So I authenticate the call, verify the call, we do the call notes. I'm like, I need to transfer you to billing because you're in the wrong department, unfortunately. He's not happy about it because this is the umpteenth time he's called. He was on hold for 50 minutes and he just wasn't happy. I'm like, okay. Escalate, empathy statements, we do the pie. And he's calming down a little bit. He's just like, I don't know, maybe I just need to hang up and try another day, beginning of the day, end of the day, something. He's telling the rep that. And I'm like, okay, but listen, I can notate the account. Let me try to go ahead and connect you over, do a warm connection, because we do warm connections, to somebody in billing so that we can get this taken care of. And again, with the statement, I understand that you're not happy right now. If my service was disrupted, issue, blah, 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 I wouldn't be happy either. Let's take care of this today. So you've got the statements down. So I'm in the process of trying to do the transfer, ask for the PIN, and he hangs up. So I'm like, but you don't hang up yet. Now your end, he's hung up, but you don't have another call come in because you literally have to press a button to accept another call. There's still stuff to do on the account. So, I press all the buttons I need to. We go to call notes, and I'm like, recent customer called. Customer was going to get transferred over to billing department. However, customer hung up before transfer took place. And then I wrote down a concise statement about why he was calling and the resolution and steps that I took to give him empathy statements. The call lasted about 7 minutes. Not bad. So I decided, well, I'm going to do just one more call, and we're just going to kind of see how it is. So call number 2 comes in. Now, the calls are not back to back. So call 2 comes in, and then it's like, okay, the lady calls in. She's a business owner and tech support, and she wants to unlock a device. I'm like, okay, that's tech support. but the system kind of hangs up a little bit. So, and I'm new. This is my first day. This is only my second call. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, okay, refresh this. We got this. And we manually look up the account again. And it happened a few times. I just had gotten access into the systems. So things were still a little crazy. But I finally did it after it took me about 8 to 10 minutes to get refreshed and fully back into the systems. She's still on the line. I apologize. I take ownership of the issue. I'm like, we can get this. So we get her authenticated, verified, privacy statements, everything else that needs to be said. So we launched the troubleshooter, and then I'm like, okay, are we on blah, 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 and we want to unlock this device. And I'm like, you could do this during the self-portal. Would you be interested in that? And she's like, well, yes, I'm at a computer now. I tried to do it on my own, and I didn't understand the instructions. Troubleshoot has a way that you can send a link for those step-by-step instructions. And I'm like, I would love to stay with you on the phone, and I will email those instructions to you. Email, boom, boom, boom. And I said, there's another thing. We've got an app that helps do device help. She goes, really? Didn't know that. I'm like, would you like a link to that? I can email that to you. Or send it via text message. She said, email it. I'm like, here you go. She goes, oh, there we go. She goes, okay, well, I've got everything I need. And I said, okay, well, thank you so much for calling. Have I resolved your issue today? She said, you did. I can take it from here in the self-portal. And it was, very pleasant. She was pleasant. I was pleasant. It was a long call because of the refreshing of the systems, but it was pleasant. So that call, the call part took 6 minutes, but it was 8 to 10 minutes, well, about 10 minutes for the refreshing of the systems and getting everything booted up and redone and looking for an account. But the call part took 6 minutes. So and I figured, you know what, we're just going to do the 2 calls. That'll give me something to talk about with people in the group. Again, if you need to join, and I recommend joining, it is an unofficial support group. So it's not official, but it's an unofficial support group. And you can join. I am one of the moderators. Joe is the admin. She is great. Heather is great. Mary's great. Renee is great. Everybody is very helpful. And one of the joys of being part of that Facebook group is there are regular Zoom meetings for Q&As, tech support, basic tech support, not Flexpert tech support, but things like, oh, my computer's doing this. Well, did you update? What browser are you using? Do this, do that. Or, hey, by the way, I'm having this problem. Okay, well, you need to talk to a Flexpert about that. But your own computer problems we can help you with. And how to use frequently asked questions, how to use training modules, asking questions about pay, asking questions about the Flex Agent experience. Just having that bonding and that connection, definitely join the Facebook group for that. So in the Flex 360 website, desktop, and phone, you will have a section on the left that talks about different links. So you have your home section, which tells you about your $250 bonus for your first 25 verified calls. Then you might have onboarding, which has the steps to set up direct deposit, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. You will have a training, which opens up a training portion of the window where you can do the modules. And in the group, I have some screenshots of how to look at those modules and see if they're complete. And we're going to be doing some stuff as far as talking about verbiage and role play and stuff like that. We will not listen to live calls because that affects privacy. We will not show any screens that it's private. They have simulations. So you can do the steps in the simulation to do the basic things that you'll be called about. But there is no open-ended sandbox. So I just kind of want to set the expectation there. So we have Zoom meetings. There's a lot of people helping. There's a lot of people doing this, a lot of that. So on one, and then you'll have Access Guard, which has your credentials, and the check marks, which will turn green once you have access to those portions. And then a button called Flex Installer, which will install the VMware and all the systems, the RSA authenticator, onto your computer. And they have a module, shows you step by step with a video. And then we have our results. Now, once you're inactive, once you pass the background check, you get credentials. When you start getting credentials, when you become active with the client, you will see a results page. And then you will log into there and set up your account, and you will see some information. So, for example, today that I'm doing this video is March 12th. The week started 3/10 to 3/16. It is Monday. Let me get the calendar, because you know I'm going to mess this up. It's Sunday to Saturday. And this week will pay out on the 22nd. They do not hold back, so you're not being held back any money. The results page updates 1 a.m. Central Standard Time with your money, your stats, your metrics, all sorts of different information. Your survey scores, all of that. How much you made per hour on average. So that it's information for you to have. And of course, your stats do affect your pay a little bit, as far as, the validation, transfer calls, callbacks, and stuff like that, because we do want a first call resolution. So your results page is very, very important. It'll also pop up contests, bonuses, Flex Lounge, which is the official message area for Flex 360, and you can go in there and do everything that you need to do. But we're kind of more unofficial. We talk about other stuff too, like Becky's diamond kit hobby, and the cat, and other stuff like that. So overall, like I said, I don't have my stats right now. I won't until 1 a.m. 1 a.m., which will be Wednesday the 13th in the morning. And of course, I'm making this video the day before. But Mondays are probably going to be the update days now, where we're going to talk about how my previous week for Flex 360 went, and doing this, doing that. Did I make a bonus? Did I make a contest? Did I do this? Blah, 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 blah. And we might do some screen sharing, not of any proprietary systems, but I might make a little slideshow or something, just kind of to talk about my own stats. And of course, your mileage will vary. So I know this is one of my longer videos, but I really kind of wanted to get it out there. Again, I can't stress it enough. The first link down below is to Flex Agent, where you will bookmark the website, download the phone app, and then download the desktop app. Use the website to do the applying. So don't apply through the phone app, because they're still doing some fixes on that. They do a lot of updates. It's not buggy, but it's just updates. And then join the second link is the unofficial Facebook group, where Joe is the admin. She is a wonderful person. I get along with her very well. We're like a couple of bandits. Renee, Mary, Heather, everybody else that's a moderator there with me, wonderful, helpful people. Flex Agent is open 24/7, 365, so you just log on. There is no schedule. You log on and log off whenever you want, as long as you're not doing it during a call. All right, everybody, my name is Becky, and I will see you next time.